Peace and blessings, family. Brother Shareef, live and direct here in PA. Get ready to drop some knowledge again for your mind, body, and soul, so we can continue to lift the mind, body, and soul of our people. So I thank everyone who had tuned in to the message last night. We talked about Minister Farrakhan. We're not denouncing our brother, and I hope that y'all learn from that message, and please share the message that we had proposed last night. So this is Brother Shareef with the Hour of Power. Go to Hour of Power, Shareef Hamid on YouTube. Subscribe and share the channel. You know the drill, so we can continue to lift the mind, body, and soul of our people. So in the name of God, the gracious, the merciful, we give him praise and thanks for his mercy and his goodness to the human family. If all the trees upon the earth were pens to write with, and if all the oceans were ink, and then another 7 oceans to add to its supply, the writing would still not be enough to explain the glory of God. For he's the exalted, all-powerful, all-wise. We confide in no other in our time of need, and we praise no other in our good fortune. So again, this is Brother Shareef. Tonight's message, real short, but power-packed, hopefully. It's entitled, The President. I don't even call him by his name, whatever his name is, because he's not worthy of that. Call him 45, the President, whatever. But the President is proposing a law to give drug dealers the death penalty. And we'll briefly talk about what does the term Mens Rea mean. I'm going to say it again. First, we'll talk about the President has proposed a law that drug dealers get the death penalty, and we will talk about what does the term mens rea mean. Very important, especially if you have a family member, a friend, or a loved one that is caught up in the criminal justice system, has a court hearing coming up. You definitely want to be informed on when I talk about what does the term mens rea mean. MEN''S''REA. That is very important. If you have a family member or a friend that is caught up in the criminal justice system, or if they have a court trial coming up. My undergrad is in criminal justice. I'm not a lawyer, but I do have some training, some educational training in the criminal justice system. That's what I have. So we definitely want us to be educated on that. So first, this is the second time this man has proposed this. Just the other day, before I get started, you know I got to show you my YouTube channel. There, it's the Hour of Power. Go to Hour of Power, Shareef Hamid. Remember, this is a channel designed for social change. It's not a religious channel. Don't let this kufi in my name get it twisted. Okay, yes, I am a Muslim, but I'm for my people. It is a channel designed to bring about social change and awareness. Go to Shareef Hamid, or go to Hour of Power, Shareef Hamid on YouTube. Hit the red subscribe button and you'll be linked into these messages. When I do these messages on Facebook, most of the time I repeat it on YouTube, because everybody that's on YouTube ain't on Facebook, and everyone that's on Facebook isn't on YouTube. So I'm trying to get these messages out. Out of the 360 degrees of knowledge, God may have blessed me with maybe 1 degree, but I think the 1 degree that he gave me can help our people. That's how powerful God is. Okay? So this is the second time that this man has proposed giving the death penalty for drug dealers. He is proposing this. Just the other day, he was supposed to be there talking about something else, whatever foolishness that he's talking about. And then he proposed again the whole conversation. I believe he was in Pennsylvania somewhere. And the whole conversation turned into proposing a law that drug dealers get the death penalty. Now remember, presidents don't make laws. They just sort of enforce them, or they're the spokesperson for laws. It's the people behind the scenes, the congressmen, that make laws. Presidents don't make laws, but just the mere fact that he is proposing that drug dealers get the death penalty for selling drugs, Who do you think that's going to infect? Remember, this channel is to lift the mind, body, and soul of black and brown people and poor and oppressed people. If America was to come out with a law like that, enforce a law like that, who do you think that's going to affect? Who do you think that's going to impact? Do you know how many black people are in prison for non-violent crimes, either being addicted to drugs or using drugs? I do not condone drug use, and I certainly don't condone selling drugs. I've never used drugs in my life, but I'm a drug counselor and I'm a therapist, so I have a lot of sympathy for especially those who are addicted to drugs. I just told you last week, I've lost 2 of my siblings behind drug use. Just went to his funeral last week. So I'm very sympathetic to people who are addicted to drugs. It is a disease. It's not a criminal act. Although if you're under the influence of drugs, you may have criminal activity, but it's not a criminal act. It's a disease. It's an illness. And now that this drug activity, this drug addiction is affecting America, now they want treatments. Now it's intervention. Even before this opioid epidemic hit, they were talking about, you could look on TV and it was intervention. They got shows called Intervention. And who was on there? It wasn't us. Because when we are afflicted and addicted to drugs, we get jail time. Punishment. But when whites are addicted to drugs, they get intervention. All you got to do is go on your internet, whatever cable service you got, and it's all over the TV. Matter of fact, it's right after the first 48, whatever that channel is called, A&E. Intervention. I'm a drug counselor. I know what intervention is. I have to write reports on it all the time. It's plans to help people who are addicted to drugs and keep them out of trouble so they don't reuse drugs. But we don't get that. Do you know? Listen to this and listen to this, good family, because you may not hear this anywhere else. The CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, just reported last year that the leading cause of death for Americans under 50 is drug overdose. I'ma say it again. The CDC just reported last year in the New York Times. I always give you references for what I say. The CDC just reported last year that the leading cause of death for Americans under the age of 50 is drug overdose. Hence is why they're making so much of an uproar of drug use now. But where were those statistics when we were dying from crack cocaine? Not were, still is. But when the crack epidemic hit back in the 80s, started out in South Central Los Angeles with Freeway Rick Ross. Where were those statistics then? Where was the alarm then? We got jail time, punishment. And I'm going to say it for a third time. The leading cause of death, according to the CDC, reported in the New York Times just last year for people under 50 is drug overdose, pain pills. And you want to know, and this is all connected. I'm not getting off track. You want to know one of the leading ways that this opioid epidemic started? You want to know? Let me get some of my water because it's about to get hot in here. I'm all right. The way, because you may not hear this anywhere else. Listen to me and listen to me good. Write your notes down because you're not going to hear this, most likely, anywhere else. The way this opioid epidemic started was okay, let me say it like this. If you go to the doctor, there are 4 vital signs that a nurse practitioner or a doctor takes when you go to the doctor, right? We've all been there. Blood pressure, right? Body temperature, pulse rate, and your blood pressure. Did I say it right? Body temperature, pulse rate, your heart rate, and your blood pressure. Those are the 4 vital signs taken when you go to the doctor, because all 4 of them can be measured and calibrated. You can't go to the doctor and say, well, I think my blood pressure is high. They'll say, okay, we're going to measure it. And whatever that number reads, that's what it is. The same with your body temperature, your pulse rate, and your heart rate. There's no ambiguity there. Do you know by a man by the name of Dr. James Campbell, who is the president for the American Pain Association? Back in 1995, he presented and he proposed that there be a fifth vital sign added when you go to the doctor. Since then, now there's 5 vital signs when you go to the doctor. You want to know what the fifth is? Pain. Don't you remember? Don't you recall when you go to the doctor and that nurse slides that question in? Are you feeling any pain today? That was proposed back in 1995 by the president of the American Pain Association. The problem with that is you can't measure pain. How can someone tell you, how can you measure someone's pain? So when he introduced that fifth vital sign, opioid epidemics start going through the roof, because then doctors start prescribing more pain pills going off of that fifth vital sign when there only used to be 4. You can't measure someone's pain. So when a nurse says, are you feeling any pain today? And if you're in pain, what is it on a scale of 1 to 10? Oh, I'm at an 8. Then the doctors start prescribing all this pain medication. The problem with that is if you get pain pills and they prescribe you a 30-day prescription, and say you really have pain, say you got back pain, knee pain, there's people that really have pain. People our age in their 40s and 30s really have pain. It's legit. But say you got athletes, they got pain and they're trying to get back into the game, especially football players. Say they, let's use older people. Let's talk about grandparents. Say they got knee problems or hip problems, right? And they give them a 30-day prescription. Well, say if grandmom only uses 10 of those 30 pills, what happens to the other 20 pills? Little Johnny that stand with grandmom sees those pills. Now he got access to them. Then he takes them to a drug dealer on the street, and then drug dealers start selling pills individually. How do you think these drug dealers have individual single pills? They're getting them from family members, from doctors prescribing and overprescribing pain pills, mostly from that fifth vital sign that was added back in 1995. Pain. Just recall, when you go to the doctor now, they always ask you, are you having any pain today? And if so, what is it on a scale of 1 to 10? That's where the opioid epidemic started. And I have the proof to show it. Emergency room visits started going through the roof when they started adding this fifth vital sign. So that is mostly where the opioid epidemic started. So now that it's hitting white America, especially young white America, now it's intervention. No drug time, it's intervention. Very, very strange. So now black people trying to make it, just trying to make it in life. We know the story. We know how the drug epidemic started in the black community. If I was to line up 100 black families right now, almost every single one of them would have a family member, a friend that has been addicted to drugs, died from drugs, or incarcerated from drugs, mostly because of the crack cocaine explosion back in the 80s. That America purposely flooded the black community with drugs. Ask Freeway Rick Ross. I've talked to him several times in person, mainly due to our good brother right here in York, PA, Brother Echo, who is his manager, so to speak. But I've spoken to this brother, and I have interviewed him. And he talks about in his book and in the book The Dark Alliance how America purposely hired him to spread crack cocaine in America, and he was the first crack cocaine drug dealer in America. I've spoken about it plenty of times. And anyone who has followed some of my talks probably said, oh my gosh, there you go again, Brother Shareef, talking about the crack cocaine explosion and how America purposely filled black neighborhoods with drugs. You're talking about that again? And I'm going to keep on talking about it. If you can listen to 12 Years a Lie in the public school system about Christopher Columbus discovered America and how Thomas Jefferson and George Washington were great presidents, you can listen to Brother Shareef and others speak the truth a couple times. 12 years a slave in the school system. If you go for your associate's degree, that makes you 14 years a slave. If you go for your bachelor's degree, that means makes you 16 years a slave. And if you go for your master's degree, that makes you 18 years a slave. So you can listen to me a little bit, tell the truth over and over again, right?